Selection of quality pre-owned cars at QualityCarCareStatesville.com or call 704-871-2535.
Grow in your faith with biblical teaching from the Word of God. Listen to Pastor Steve Pope from Calvary Baptist Church Sunday mornings at 9 here on News Talk WSIC or listen on demand at WSICnews.com.
Local leaders, top stories, the news that matters most to you. The News Drive at 5 with host Patrick Reynolds starts now.
Welcome to the News Drive at 5 for Thursday, January 18th, 2024, 5:06 p.m. on the East Coast here in the U.S. of A. I am your host, Patrick Reynolds, taking you home for today's News Drive at 5. You just heard Dollars and Cents with Joshua Doby every Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time here on the WSIC family of networks. On the News Drive at 5 tonight, our special guest will be the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce President, Bill Russell. He's also got a show here on WSIC Radio. Looking forward to talking to him. And we have our ticket giveaway, not concluding, but continuing, for the two home shows, the Greater Charlotte Home and Landscape Show, January 26th, 27th at 8 at the Cabarrus Arena in Concord, and the Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show, February 23rd, 24th, 25th, Park Expo and Conference Center in Charlotte. We got a 4-pack of tickets to give away to you, 2 for each show. Coming up, we're going to do that in the last segment. So after 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll open up the phone lines for our concert contest. In the meantime, 844-STUDIO-4, get you right in here to the studio, 844-788-3436, 844-788-3436. Our top 5 at 5 tonight, top 5 stories that we are tracking for you at the News Drive at 5. A Huntersville man is charged with murder. A former Mooresville High School student's rape trial concludes. Investigators identify a man who died in a recent house fire in Statesville. Representative Gray Mills has a new endorsement. And a new candidate enters the ring for Alexander and Iredell County's District Attorney Office race. Our top story tonight, a Huntersville man was arrested Wednesday and charged with murder in connection with the death of a Mooresville resident. Tristan Randy Charles Strickland, age 25, was apprehended in Charlotte by the U.S. Marshal's Office. A grand jury returned a true bill of indictment on January 3rd, charging Strickland with second-degree murder and conspiracy to possess with intent to sell a Schedule I controlled substance. These charges stem from a Mooresville police investigation into the death of William Griffin Carney, a 2015 graduate of Lake Norman High School. Carney died as a result of a drug overdose on September 28, 2022. According to a news release, Mooresville Police Department detectives learned that their investigation that Strickland had provided Carney with a lethal dose of fentanyl. Following his arrest, Strickland was transported to the Iredell County Detention Center, where a magistrate set his bond at $750,000. The Mooresville Police Department expressed its appreciation to the Huntersville Police Department and the U.S. Marshal's Office for their assistance in this investigation. An Iredell County Superior Court jury deliberated for less than 10 minutes on Wednesday before finding a former Mooresville High School student not guilty of raping a classmate in 2018. Jericho Montrell Neal shed tears of joy after the clerk read the jury's verdict. He hugged defense attorney Ken Darty before leaving the courtroom with his father. Neal said of the experience, quote, "It was hard. It was really hard. I continue to have faith in God, and faith in my attorney," end quote. A jury of 7 men and 5 women rendered its decision, concluding a trial that began 8 days ago. About 10 minutes after informing Judge Stuart Albright that they had selected a foreman, a member of the panel knocked on the door of the jury room and notified the bailiff that they had reached a unanimous verdict. During his testimony Wednesday, Neal denied the rape allegations. He testified that he and the teen had been talking on Skype for several weeks. After meeting before school on the morning of March 8th, 2018, Neal told the jury they had consensual sex in an upstairs hallway. During an interview with the Mooresville police investigation in 2018, Neal stated that he had never had a sexual contact with his accuser. However, on the witness stand Wednesday, he told the jury that he had lied about that because he was afraid he would get kicked out of school for having sex on campus. During closing arguments Wednesday afternoon, Assistant District Attorney Regina Mahoney asked the jury to reject Neal's story of a consensual sexual encounter in a school hallway, saying that, quote, defies all logic, end quote, that the accuser would agree to meet someone she had never even kissed before to have sex in a public area. She also asked the jury, quote, it is not credible. Why would you believe that? Because this individual lied to law enforcement. He is going to lie to law enforcement. He's going to lie to you. Darty, in his closing argument, took aim at the accuser's credibility, pointing to inconsistencies and omissions in her statements to police, a forensic interviewer also with the Dove House Children's Advocacy Center, and within her trial testimony. In Statesville, investigators have identified a man who died in a fire in an abandoned home off Old Charlotte Road in Statesville on Tuesday. William Watkins, age 68, succumbed to his injuries at the scene of the fire at 1305 Old Mountain Road, despite the efforts of first responders to save his life. Firefighters encountered visible smoke and flames coming from the home when they arrived. The fire was brought under control within 20 minutes. During the fire suppression operation, firefighters found Watkins in the rear of the home, according to a news release. The Statesville Police Department arrived at the scene to provide support for the ongoing investigation. A preliminary investigation revealed that Watkins started the fire within the residence and became trapped as the fire spread. The house, which had been vacant for several months, was boarded up at the time of the fire. Investigators with the North Carolina Office of State Fire Marshal and the Statesville Fire Marshal's Office determined the fire was accidental. The medical examiner was called to the scene and determined that Watkins' death was caused by smoke inhalation and was not of a suspicious nature. 29-year-old Robert Dale Morton and 38-year-old Amanda Sue Jones, both from Huntersville, have been charged by Lincoln County Sheriff's detectives in connection with a break-in at a storage facility in Denver, North Carolina. They were both charged with one felony count each of breaking and entering a motor vehicle, larceny, possession of stolen goods, and breaking and entering a building. They were charged after Iredell County Sheriff's detectives alerted Lincoln County officers regarding the break-in at the storage facility on the 500 block of North Carolina Highway 16 Business North. As previously reported, Iredell County officers arrested Morton and Jones on January the 8th in connection with storage unit break-ins in Iredell County. During an interview with the suspects, they admitted to the break-ins in Denver. That incident occurred in late December 2023 or early January of 2024 at Loftus Mini Storage. The couple drove from Huntersville to Lincoln County and went to the storage facility where Morton is accused of cutting the wire fence to gain entry. He allegedly broke into several units but found nothing to take. He then returned to a trailer parked inside the facility and stole a number of tools valued at $4,000. Morton and Jones remained in the Iredell County Detention Center with bond for each set at $250,000 secured. Iredell County officers served the Lincoln County warrants on January 13th. They'll appear in a Lincoln County courtroom on January 22nd, and with an Iredell County court date coming up on January 30th. You are listening to the News Drive at 5. I'm Patrick Reynolds. We'll talk to Bill Russell right after the break. Don't go anywhere. WSIC News Talk.
More of the News Drive at 5 after we pay the bills on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, the clouds continue to thicken up, but not much rain on the way. Nothing more than a spotty shower, mainly while we're sleeping overnight. Temperatures drop down just above freezing in the overnight hours and rains out of here before sunrise tomorrow morning. for our Friday clearing and getting windy. High temperatures in the 40s, but crashing fast as another blast of Arctic air moves in for the weekend. Mornings in the teens, highs barely near freezing for Saturday. And that's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Having performed all over the world, written hit songs, and mentored artists, Rocky Lynn is making another stop here at home, playing it.
Is on. Hello, Bill.
Yes. Hey, Patrick, how are you?
I'm good, Bill. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate it. I'm doing well here.
You got a little bit of a static or feedback, I'm hearing.
Let me check with Joe on that. See, do you hear it on your end, Joe?
I don't, but it could just be our internet right now.
Okay. He's saying it could be our internet right now.
Okay, it just sounds, when you're so do I come in, is my voice clear?
Yes, you sound great actually. I'm listening to you through the headset here.
Okay, then it doesn't matter what I'm hearing from you. Because I could actually hear you. It's just a little bit of a kind of in the background.
Okay. Well, I'll have Joe take a look at it, keep an eye on it and monitor it. But he says it's okay on this end. So
This is Joe, our sports director.
Yeah, Joe Berg.
Joe, how about my damn Packers?
Hey, that was pretty good. I was surprised, honestly. I thought the Cowboys were going to go to the championship game.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I was surprised too. I'm a Packers fan, and they're a young team, and I was just hoping that we would look good, but we didn't look good. We looked great.
Go Pack. Not the Wolfpack. Well, the Wolfpack too. Nothing wrong with the Wolfpack.
Nothing wrong with the Wolfpack.
Nothing wrong with Wolfpack.
We got about 45 seconds until we're back.
Very good.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks for finding some time for me tonight, Bill, on such a short notice.
Always have time for you.
Awesome. I'll keep that in mind as the show goes forward. I'm definitely going to have you on a little bit of a rotation, bring you back from time to time.
All right, I'm going to mute the mics. We'll get going, and we'll be ready to go. Here we go.
Great.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
Now, back to more of the News Drive at 5 with your host, Patrick Reynolds, on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
News Drive at 5, back with you. Patrick Reynolds taking you home on this Thursday, January 18th, 5:18 p.m. on the East Coast. We are joined right now on the hotline for our special guest tonight. President of the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce, Bill Russell, joins us. How are you tonight, Bill?
I'm doing good. And, I haven't really had the opportunity to speak to you since you landed the Drive at 5. So congratulations. This is fantastic. I love listening to you. I don't always get to leave the chamber and go home at 5 o'clock. I don't always drive at 5, but I do appreciate you when I am going down the road. But congratulations to you, Patrick.
Thank you so much, Bill. Great connection here at WSIC over the years. I've been in and out of the studio, and I'll tell you, it's fantastic to be back. And I'm not surprised, as the president of the chamber, that at 5:01 you are not out the door. You probably still got a pretty long list every night.
No, I've actually got quite a little bit to do here before I can get out the door. But that means you're on my Facebook page and not my radio dial.
Okay, that works just fine. I appreciate you finding some time for me with all the other duties that you have to do there. Why don't we start with that question for you? As president of the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce, what duties do you serve in that role? How does this relate to the public?
Sure. For those of you who may not be familiar, the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce, we're an 850-member business association. We've been serving the greater Lake Norman region, Cornelius, Davis, Huntersville, Mooresville, the greater Lake Norman region since 1987. And we basically what we do as an association is we promote, represent, and serve. We promote our 850 members. We put on programs that are going to be beneficial to help people for their tools in their toolbox to be more effective as business managers, owners, employees. And then we're going to advocate on behalf of business, be the voice of business. And I'll tell you, one of the things that we're doing tomorrow, Patrick, is in the morning at 8:30 to 9:30, we've got Senator Vicki Sawyer. She's going to be here. It's going to be the focus on the legislature, and Representative Bradford is going to join us virtually, and they're going to talk about what went on in Raleigh in 2023, what is expected to happen in 2024, and Vicki, who has her own show here on WSIC, she is the chairman of the Transportation Committee. John Bradford is the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee. So two very, very powerful people in Raleigh, and we will have them here tomorrow to hear what our business concerns are that maybe they can take back to Raleigh.
Is this meeting with them open to the public? Can anybody come in?
Well, it is generally, it's for the chamber members. However, we always allow guests to join us. So if somebody's really looking to meet with Vicki or John, they can come. But it's primarily for Lake Norman Chamber members. But we don't exclude. If a business owner, manager, employee, or just a citizen wants to hear or meet Vicki or John, come on down tomorrow, 8:30 here at the Chamber of Commerce.
8:30 Chamber of Commerce. That is on West Catawba Avenue in Cornelius, in case anybody's wondering. So many folks in our audience are members of the Chamber of Commerce, but I'm sure we got a lot of business owners and audience members that are not part of the Chamber. You talked about what you guys do. If I'm an owner of a business, what would you say to me that the Chamber would directly benefit me, and why would I join the Chamber?
Well, primarily, most people join the Chamber of Commerce for networking purposes and build their base of their contacts. So, 8 out of 10 people who walk through the door, they're looking to come into networking events. They want to meet people. They want to meet people who might do business with them. So they're looking to expand their contacts and to get exposure for their businesses through our networking events. So we're generally known for networking, but that's not all we do. We put on programs like, for instance, I just walked downstairs. David Dowdy, who's with Action Coach, you probably know David.
Sure do.
He just put on a program about getting unstuck and moving forward and setting your 2024 goals. And that was a fantastic program upstairs. We just got through with it, just wrapped it. And that was one of the things we just put on just a little while ago. So if a business is looking at how can they improve, how can they make better decisions, how can they be more efficient in their operations, how can they meet more potential clients and customers, the Chamber of Commerce, whether you're in Statesville, Mooresville, Cabarrus, doesn't matter. There are some great chambers of commerce in the region. We think we have a great Chamber of Commerce, a lot of things going on. So we encourage you to check out your Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely. And as a member of the Chamber of Commerce, you've got these programs going on, like the one with David Dowdy, the one tomorrow with John Bradford and Vicki Sawyer. Once you're a member, these programs are not an extra charge for you, correct? You can just go as a member. That's what you pay for.
That's right. We try not to nickel and dime our chamber members. So some chambers do charge to come to like a business after hours or a networking event. We don't do that. We consider that to be part of your membership. The only add-ons we have is if we have a luncheon where at the country club, well, there's going to be a little charge for that. But most of the programs, the seminars, professional development, we try to do at no charge to our members.
As long as I have known you, you have been president of the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce. Your history goes way back before I was part of the chamber and met you. How long have you been president of the chamber?
I'll be honest. I started here in January of 1996, and if you'd have asked me how long I was planning on being here, the normal lifespan of a chamber director at any chamber of commerce is probably 3 to 7 years. Kind of like a football coach. Very seldom do you get a coach that goes in there and stays for, 10, 20 years. But sometimes you do have whether it's a Nick Saban or somebody like that that's there generally for a while. And I work at the pleasure of my board. So as soon as the board feels like you're no longer representing the Chamber of Commerce and getting the chamber to accomplish the goals they set, then they probably are going to look for a new exec. But I've been very fortunate. And I tell you, Patrick, we live and work in a dynamic area. Where can you go in all of the United States that has the resources available that we have right here in Lake Norman?
Nowhere. that's my answer from what I've experienced with you in the chamber. Nowhere.
And you're in the entertainment business, so I mean,
Yeah.
you think about what you've got. The Kane Center that's just opened up. You've got all the amenities of Charlotte. You've got all the activities and the bars and the nightlife around the lake. If you're in the entertainment and hospitality business, by gosh, you want to be in Lake Norman.
I can testify to that. But besides this radio show, I'm quite busy with Waves Entertainment throughout the summertime. A lot of times on stage. I'd like to, pitch the attention back to you for a little bit more here. You talked about 1996 when you came on board with the chamber. What did you do before that? Does your background include chamber work elsewhere, community work? Where were you before 96?
Well, I did start off in 1993. I started at a smaller chamber of commerce in the Lowcountry, down near Charleston, South Carolina, St. George, Holly Hill, Santee, that area. So this is my second chamber job. But the year prior to that, I was president of the United States Junior Chamber of Commerce. You might know them as the JCs. And the JCs at that time was 180,000 young people, 21 to 39. It was the largest young people's organization in the country. It still is the largest young people's organization in the world. And I had the great fortune to be president of the organization, traveled to 47 states, 7 countries, advocating on the voice of young people. So that's kind of where I got my start. When I got out of college, I was in office supplies and office furniture. So I told people I sold pencils for a living because I sold office supplies and office furniture, did that. So I've always been in sales, but instead of today, instead of selling furniture or machines, today I sell the lake.
Well done. Nicely done. In addition to the News Drive at 5 here, a news show that debuted in January on WSIC, Town Talk debuted in 2023 as the station got new ownership, new direction, reinvigorated. How is that going for you as the host? Let my audience know you're the host of Town Talk, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. here at WSIC. How's that going for you?
I've enjoyed it. Jessica Zeppies called me up and asked me to come down and offered me the opportunity to promote our chamber and our chamber members. And so yesterday we had Huntersville Mayor Christy Clark and Manager Anthony Roberts on, and we talked about the commercial development taking place in Huntersville. We talked about the transportation projects going on. But I try to create programs. Like yesterday was focused just on Huntersville. And I normally try to have a program that kind of touches on all of our communities. So no matter where you live, maybe you get something out of it. So, but yesterday was a pure focus on Huntersville, and it was a chance for particularly people living in Huntersville to find out what's going on, because you really can't drive in Huntersville right now without seeing the orange barrels. And some people may not want to see the orange barrels, but that means help's coming. That means we're making the changes that's going to make it a better drive time for everybody else.
I'd say that's one of the biggest complaints around Lake Norman. It's so popular, and there's so much here that you talked about. Yet the infrastructure, it's tough keeping up with the population. It's not an easy balance for the politicians or the people in office here. It's a tough job.
That's right. Yeah.
So how do people get a hold of you? Audience members, business owners, they say, hey, this chamber might be a thing for me. What do they do? Where do they go?
They can go to our website, lakenormanchamber.org. There is a calendar of events. What I tell people is almost like if you get ready to, Patrick, if you're going to go out and buy a car, whether it's from Randy Marion or somebody else, you're probably going to want to drive it around, kick the tires. Yep. You're not just going to go pick out a new car and just drive it and say, nope, I'm going to buy this car. You have in mind, but you want to probably do a little bit of a practice run. Well, we encourage you to come to one of our events, check out what we do, and then perhaps you'll join the Chamber of Commerce.
I like it. Bill Russell, thank you so much for joining us, President of the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce. Thanks, Bill. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Patrick.
Host of Town Talk, Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Eastern Time on WSIC. I am Patrick Reynolds. News Drive at 5 rolls on right after this.
Stick around for more of the News Drive. 1059 100.7 WSIC.
Well, the Clouds continue to thicken up, but not much rain on the way. Nothing more than a spotty shower, mainly while we're sleeping overnight. Temperatures drop down just above freezing in the overnight hours and rains out of here before sunrise tomorrow morning. For our Friday clearing and getting windy, high temperatures in the 40s but crashing fast as our another blast of Arctic air moves in for the weekend. Mornings in the teens, highs barely near freezing for Saturday. And that's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Get into Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville.
Happy New Year. Yes, 2024 is here. We are celebrating Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville. The deals could not be hotter, can't be better in the new year. Come see us today, Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville. Check out the Silverado, the Colorado. How about a new Traverse? That's the new body style. Come see us. It is going to be a great year. Happy 2024 for Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville.
King of Price, RandyMarionStatesville.com.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower use for adults only.
Here's a WSIC Business Minute with local entrepreneur Joe Vagnone.
Ever wonder why some people earn more respect than others? My friend and national speaker Chuck Gallagher says it's about your ethical footprint. Chuck believes we leave a visible trace as we face life's challenges. Sometimes we don't see ourselves as others do. Will people speak positively about you when you're not around? That's a scary thought. Chuck knows this well. He was in prison for crossing that line. Yes, my buddy, a reformed thief. I love to call Chuck my favorite convict. But he learned a lesson. Business leaders prevent theft by not putting employees in tempting positions. We should relieve the burden, and in return, you will build trust. Remember, ethical behavior creates a culture of trust and fosters integrity in business.
This has been a WSIC Business Minute with Joe Vagnone. Listen for tips on how to improve your business daily on WSIC News Talk Now.
Attention! This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
800-556-2974. 800-556-2974.
This is a true, sad story for ADT, the leader in home security systems. My favorite dog, Oliver, was stolen from our garage recently. If I had a camera system installed in my home from ADT, I would have known exactly what car possibly pulled up in my driveway and stole my little friend. If I had a security system from ADT, my dog would still be here. I called ADT this weekend, and they're coming out in a few days to install a camera and a new security system. Unfortunately, it's a little too late for me. Listen, protect everyone you love in your family. Call ADT now. Have them come out and give you a quote to install a full security system in your home. Don't let it be too late for you. Call right now.
Paid for by the Home Security Hotline. 800-561-6198. 800-561-6198. 800-561.
The News Drive at 5 continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC. Here's your host, Patrick Reynolds.
Welcome back to the News Drive at 5. Patrick Reynolds taking you home on this Thursday, January 18th, 2024, 5:35 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone. We are giving away a 4-pack of tickets to a pair of home shows here. We're going to do this in about 10 minutes from now, 12 minutes from now, roughly there. The Greater Charlotte Home and Landscape Show, January 26th, 27th, and 28th. At the Cabarrus Arena in Concord. We've got 2 tickets to that free. And the Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show, February 23rd, 4th, and 5th at the Park Expo and Conference Center in Charlotte. 2 tickets to each show. A 4-pack is going to a lucky caller right after our next commercial break. So stay tuned and dial into the studio. Your chance to win. The winning number to dial, 844-788-3436. That's coolly, cute, neat, 844-STUDIO-4. Yeah, 844-STUDIO-4. 844-788-3436. Got them right here. If you're looking at the video feed, I just shared a little bit of that on social media in between the commercials. So yeah, if you're looking at these, cool. It's like a cool hand of cards right there. These tickets right there, right in my hand. They will be yours very shortly if you just call in. Back to our headlines around the Lake Norman, North Charlotte, Iredell County area. Congresswoman Virginia Foxx endorsed Gray Mills for Congress in North Carolina's 10th Congressional District. Mills, who represents the 95th District in the North Carolina House, is one of 5 Republicans running in the March 5th primary election for the seat being vacated by Representative Patrick McHenry. Fox said throughout Gray's time in the North Carolina State House, he has been a strong leader for our conservative way of life and the fierce advocate for our North Carolina values. With our nation facing unprecedented crises like the wide-open southern border, skyrocketing inflation, and bureaucrats indoctrinating our children in schools, it is more important than ever that we elect someone with a proven record of conservatism who will deliver results for hardworking North Carolinas. I am proud to endorse Gray Mills for Congress, and I look forward to the great work he will do for our state, end quote. Fox has represented North Carolina's 5th District in Congress since 2005 and currently serves as the chairwoman of the House Committee on Education and the Workforce. She has represented several areas in the new 10th District in the past, including Yadkin County and parts of Forsyth, Iredell, and Catawba counties. Mills said it was an honor to earn Fox's endorsement. He said, quote, Dr. Fox is an amazing leader both in her community and in Washington. Her dedication to the people of North Carolina is on full display every day through her work as the chair of the Education and Workforce Committee in Congress and her fearless advocacy for North Carolina values. She is a champion for parental rights and school choice and a role model for public servants everywhere, end quote. Former Statesville Police Chief David Addison announced he is running for district attorney for Iredell and Alexander counties. Addison, a Republican who is challenging incumbent district attorney Sarah Kirkman in the March 5th primary election, said he decided to seek the office after retiring from the Statesville Police Department in August of 2022. Addison said in his official campaign announcement, quote, I knew more work needed to be done in our community because habitual violent criminals were being arrested and still walking in our neighborhoods. Several individuals are in jail for long periods of time awaiting their respective day in court. Everyone deserves a trial to resolve their respective criminal issues. I respect the work of the district attorney's office. However, we need better leadership in the pursuit of justice in the courts for the citizens of Iredell and Alexander counties, end quote. Addison provided the following data from the North Carolina court system. In Iredell County, out of the more than 27,000 cases, 23,000 were dismissed or disposed of without a guilty plea. In Alexander County, out of the over 4,000 cases filed, 3,600 were dismissed or disposed of without a guilty plea. Addison said, quote, my goals are to introduce transparency whenever possible through sharing our outcomes, reduce the habitual career criminals through increased prosecution, reduce the time before a case goes to trial, and become more involved in crime reduction by attending community meetings and listening to our citizens' concerns. I will meet regularly with leaders in the law enforcement community to improve relationships and assist with crime reduction, end quote. In his law enforcement career, Addison worked as a patrol officer, homicide investigator, and juvenile investigator, among other positions. He attended North Carolina Central University School for Law in the evenings while working as a captain with the Durham Police Department. Addison graduated from law school in 2016 and was admitted to the bar the same year. He volunteered with Legal Aid of North Carolina and was awarded the Pro Bono Award for his work. The Mooresville Town Board of Commissioners has appointed Jane Crosby as the town clerk at the board's meeting on Tuesday. Crosby joined the town of Mooresville in May of 2020 as the assistant to the manager's office. She brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to her new role from not only her service at the town, but also from her previous involvement with small businesses and downtown development. Said Mayor Chris Carney, quote, Jane has been the longtime assistant to the town's manager, so she's already had a thorough institutional knowledge of Mooresville. But what's even more important is her attention to detail, the way she thinks 10 steps ahead, her work ethic, and the way she brings a real business sense to the job. She has been a breath of fresh air. She has done a tremendous job, and we're really excited to have her, end quote. Crosby holds a BA in Public Policy Studies from Duke University and an MBA from Wake Forest University. In Denver, two East Lincoln High School students, Bailey Faribaugh and Jack Unrath, both taking AP Government Politics taught by Carolyn Prunier in their sophomore year, worked together on a project for a final class grade. Prunier said, quote, the AP exams end about 3 weeks before they get out of school. The College Board asks the students to do a civic-based project during the semester. I always save my project for the end. The students didn't have to do the project, they just needed to organize it. Going quite a few steps further, Faribaugh and Unrath have put in motion a plan and the necessary funding to have a statue of Benjamin Lincoln erected in downtown Lincolnton. Prunier said, quote, on our Bring Your Legislator to School Day, the county asked me to do a gallery walk with all of the project. We had some awesome projects. North Carolina Representative Jason Sain, former guest here on the News Drive at 5, saw the project and he said, let's make it happen. When the two students were creating the project, they decided on a memorial, but they didn't know who to memorialize. Faribaugh said, quote, after a lot of research, we learned who Lincoln County is named after, Benjamin Lincoln. We also realized his name isn't out there very much. Most people associate Lincoln County with Abraham Lincoln, or another prominent figure in history. We figured it was time Benjamin Lincoln got the spotlight. Lincoln was a general under George Washington, Faribaugh continued, and he was second in command of the Continental Army at the time. He came into prominence at the end of the war, especially in the Battle of Yorktown. Unrath said, quote, over the summer we stayed in contact with Jason Sain. He said that he'd allotted some money, but he didn't know how much it would be. After the budget was passed, we learned we were allocated $130,000. Right now, the projected price for the statue would be $123,000. The company we're working with, East Coast Memorials, has been incredibly generous, and they're trying to work with the price to make it lower. Prunier said, what differentiates this project from many of the others is that this one is actually becoming a reality, which isn't part of their grade at all. The idea was civic mindedness, not an actual project. I wish I could give them extra credit for taking the project concept and making it a reality, but this all happened after the class had ended. But I would always reference this project to my future students because it's going to be amazing. I'm so proud of Bailey and Jack, end quote. That is a great story of kids just putting their best foot forward, a teacher giving them their support. Let's give a shout out to Representative Jason Sain, also a host here on WSIC News Talk Radio with his own show, and a former guest that we've had here within the last few days. A lot of good news coming out of that story. Great to wrap it up with that. We're going to have some ticket giveaways right after the break. News Drive at 5 rolls on. I'm Patrick Reynolds. Talk to you soon.
Drive at 5 with Patrick straight ahead on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, the clouds continue to thicken up, but not much rain on the way. Nothing more than a spotty shower, mainly while we're sleeping overnight. Temperatures drop down just above freezing in the overnight hours and rains out of here before sunrise tomorrow morning. For our Friday clearing and getting windy, high temperatures in the 40s but crashing fast as another blast of Arctic air moves in for the weekend. Mornings in the teens, highs barely near freezing for Saturday. And that's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Having performed all over the world, written hit songs, and mentored artists, Rocky Lynn is making another stop here at home, playing at Kane Center for the Arts this Saturday. Listen each weekday morning for your chance to win tickets and meet and greet passes. And come hang out with us prior to the show. WSIC will be in front of Kane Center for the Arts from 6 to 7 p.m. Rocky Lynn this Saturday, kanearts.org. That's CAINarts.org. Mooresville Parks and Recreation presents the Hitmen of Country, playing at the Charles Mack Citizen Center Friday, January 19th. Love country music? The Hitmen of Country have toured and recorded with some of the country's greatest artists, like Keith Urban, Trace Adkins, Travis Tritt, and Jason Aldean. For more information, go to visitmooresville.com. That's visitmooresville.com. Birkdale on Ice is still going on through January 28th. Time to lace up your skates and hit the ice. To make sure you can skate when you want, we recommend you making a reservation. For skate session info, including times and pricing, visit birkdalevillage.com. Want to attend the Greater Charlotte Home and Landscape Show? How about the Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show? Throughout the day, you have your chance to win tickets. Listen each day to Good Morning LKN, the Home Ad Show, the News Drive at 5, and the Scoreboard. Each show gives you your chance to win. The Greater Charlotte Home and Garden Show, February 23rd through the 25th. The Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show, January 26th through the 28th. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
76 years strong, and we're still the one. WSIC. News. Talk. Now.
Call in now to speak with Patrick Reynolds on the News Drive at 5. The number to dial is 844-STUDIO-4. WSIC. Local starts here.
Studio 4 also gives you your winning 4-pack of tickets right now. Phone lines are open, 844-788-3436. 844-788-3436. These four I'm holding up to the camera here right now. You can see those on our video feed. The Greater Charlotte Home and Landscape Show, January 26th, 27th, and 8th at the Cabarrus Arena in Concord. You got two right there. They are free, and they are yours if you'd like them. Also, the Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show, February 23rd, 24th, 25th. They are also yours right now. Call in, 844-788-3464. You've got a 4-pack of tickets taking you to those two shows. 5:49 p.m. Eastern Time here. Those are your tickets. Those are your phone number. The Scoreboard with Joe Berg coming up at the top of the hour. Right now, recapping our top stories for tonight. A Huntersville man was arrested Wednesday and charged with murder in connection with the death of a Mooresville resident. Tristan Randy Charles Strickland, age 25, was apprehended in Charlotte by the U.S. Marshal's Office. A grand jury returned a true bill of indictment on January 3rd, charging Strickland with second-degree murder and conspiracy to possess with intent to sell a Schedule I controlled substance. Those charges stem from a Mooresville police investigation into the death of William Griffin Carney, a 2015 graduate of Lake Norman High School. Carney died as a result of a drug overdose in September of 2022. According to a news release, Mooresville Police Department detectives learned that their investigation that Strickland had provided Carney with a lethal dose of fentanyl. Following his arrest, Strickland was transported to the Iredell County Detention Center, where a magistrate set his bond at $750,000. The Mooresville Police Department expressed its appreciation to the Huntersville Police Department and the U.S. Marshal's Office for their assistance in this investigation. An Iredell County Superior Court jury deliberated for less than 10 minutes on Wednesday before finding a former Mooresville High School student not guilty of raping a classmate in 2018. Jericho Montrell Neal shed tears of joy after the clerk read the jury's verdict. He hugged defense attorney Ken Darty before leaving the courtroom with his father. In Statesville, investigators have identified a man who died in a fire in an abandoned home off Old Statesville Road. William Watkins, age 68, succumbed to the injuries on the scene of a fire at 1305 Old Mountain Road, despite the efforts of first responders to save his life. Firefighters encountered visible smoke and flames coming from the home when they arrived. The fire was brought under control within 20 minutes. During the fire suppression operation, firefighters found Watkins in the rear of the home, according to a news release. The Statesville Police Department arrived at the scene to provide support for the ongoing investigation. A preliminary investigation revealed that Watkins started the fire within the residence and became trapped as the fire spread. The house, which had been vacant for several months, was boarded up at the time of the fire. Investigators with the North Carolina Office of State Fire Marshal and the Statesville Fire Marshal's Office determined the fire was accidental. The medical examiner was called to the scene and determined that Watkins' death was caused by smoke inhalation and was not of a suspicious nature. 29-year-old Robert Dale Morton and 38-year-old Amanda Sue Jones, both from Huntersville, have been charged by Lincoln County Sheriff's detectives in connection with a break-in at a storage facility in Denver, North Carolina. They were both charged with one felony count each of breaking and entering a motor vehicle, larceny, possession of stolen goods, and breaking and entering a building. They were charged after Iredell County Sheriff's detectives alerted Lincoln County officers regarding the break-in at the storage facility on the 500 block of North Carolina Highway 16 Business North. As previously reported, Iredell County officers arrested Morton and Jones on January 8th in connection with storage break-ins in Iredell County. During an interview with the suspects, they admitted to the break-in in Denver. That incident occurred in late December 23, possibly early January of 24, at Loftus Mini Storage. The couple drove from Huntersville to Lincoln County and went to the storage facility where Morton is accused of cutting the wire fence to gain entry. He allegedly broke into several units but found nothing to take. He then returned to a trailer parked inside the facility and stole a number of tools valued at $4,000. Morton and Jones remain in the Iredell County Detention Center with bond for each set at $250,000 secured. Iredell County officers served the Lincoln County warrants on January 13th. They'll appear in a Lincoln County courtroom January 22nd, with an Iredell County court date coming up on January 30th. We have these 4-pack of tickets still up for grabs here. If you would like to check them out, let's tell you what's going on. The Greater Charlotte Home and Landscape Show, January 26th, 27th, and 8th. That's 3 days. The Cabarrus Arena in Concord is your host. So you've got one not this weekend coming up, but next weekend for sure. Then we've got the Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show, February 23rd, 24th, 25th, Park Expo and Conference Center in Charlotte. So we've got 2 tickets to each show. It's a great date day, I would say. So fellas, if your ladies like landscaping or you want to take them out, this is a great way to get the jump on Valentine's Day, I believe, is a little bit of a guess. Or a little bit of a guess. It might be nice to go to. Sounds like a fun day, but we've got 2 tickets to each show. 4-pack, 844-788-3464 to anybody that wants them. 844-788-3464 Just call in, and these tickets are yours. We are closing in on the checkered flag for News Drive at 5 today. Following us, as always, at the top of the hour is your update on sports with the scoreboard hosted by Joe Berg, who's got the shortest commute in all of capitalism. As he sits across from me at the audio board right now, he's already in place as he's the audio engineer for News Drive at 5. Then he just flips a switch and magically the scoreboard comes to life. How are you tonight there, Joseph?
I'm doing wonderful. It's a beautiful day out there, too.
If you're a penguin. Yes.
You know, it's sunny at least.
Well, it is sunny. Yeah, quite. Well,
it was. It was.
Sun's coming down right now.
Yeah.
Gosh, it has been cold here in North Carolina, in your Charlotte area.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
I moved here, be south. What's going on?
I don't think you went far enough.
Yeah. We might have to throw the bat signal up to Chase Myers and find out what is going on there.
Well, it looks like it's going to be 70 degrees next week or something like that. So maybe he can explain what in the world is going on.
Do not toy with me, child. If that's not true, I'm coming after you. So what's going on in the scoreboard tonight? What are you talking about? What's happening?
So I got a couple of college football news stories that I want to get into today. One of them having to do with eligibility.
Do you tease this one or just tell them? Because
man.
I'll tell you what, everybody should don't tell our audience, but you got to stay tuned to the scoreboard. Joe and I were chatting in the last commercial break. He told me this, almost fell out of my chair when he gave me this news on college eligibility. That's the topic.
That's the topic,
okay.
College eligibility.
College eligibility.
That's
Stay
one
tuned.
of them.
You're not going to want to miss this. What's the other one?
The other big one is I see here, it was reported that the ACC court filing accuses FSU of breach of contract and they're seeking damages. This all stemming from the fact that Florida State was left out of the college football playoffs. And now there was another lawsuit filed in Mecklenburg County, and there's just a lot of issues going on with the ACC and FSU.
Why is the lawsuit filed in Mecklenburg County for Florida State?
I think that's where the ACC is centralized at. I believe so.
Oh, really?
I believe so.
So I'm assuming, I would assume they were in Charlotte if they're in Mecklenburg County.
Would make sense.
Yeah.
Would make sense. The ACC championship is played at Bank of America Stadium, so, you know.
Okay, I got you. I'm nodding along here like I'm following it. Yeah, okay.
I don't know that deep into it where their central branch is located, but I'm assuming that it's right here in Mecklenburg. Well, it's just south of us.
So I'm going to call, in the news world, we're going to call this off-the-field headlines and stories, right?
Yes, it is.
Off the field.
This is a big one, too. It's been going on since the selection show.
Yeah. Well, that news from Florida State when they did not make the top four or, what have you, is like that has been shocked and rippled through not only the sports world, but the general news world. Like, this is a big story in a headline.
It still doesn't feel real. It still feels like a joke that a team that goes undefeated and wins a Power 5 conference not getting into the college football playoffs.
Question from me to you, like guy to guy. Do you think there was funny business behind the scenes as to why they didn't get in there?
No, I think it was just the same thing that it's always been, is a bunch of old heads up in a room thinking they know better than the results on the field.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it's always been.
Well, yeah, I remember that before there was I'm old enough to remember, before there was a college playoff, the national championship was often referred to as mythical.
Yeah, it was because the BCS championship, and they just determined a champion.
Yeah, all these bowl games were somewhat like spectacles in their own right, and they just, whoever was voted number one, that was your national, and you used air quotes appropriately there, national championship.
Yeah.
So here we are. We do have a playoff system for bowls, but
it's still kind of quote unquote. Next year is going to be a lot better with more teams. In my opinion, it makes it a little bit more legitimate, but we're still going to have the problem of a person sitting at the top determining who they want to be the final few teams in.
Yeah, it's still judgment.
It is.
As opposed to basketball.
Just the records.
Basketball, you got 64 teams, and I know that just outside that 64, there's some judgment. But there's very little judgment on the 1 seeds, the 2 seeds, and things like that.
Right.
All right. More coming up from Joe Berg with the scoreboard at the top of the hour. This has been the News Drive at 5. I'm Patrick Reynolds. Thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
The new 105.